Hello. It has been quite some time since I have streamed, mostly because I did not feel like it, I guess. I was just not very motivated to, but I have time today. I have some leatherworking I want to try to mess around with. No, like, solid plans, but I do want to try to make a sheath for this knife that someone had, I think, found slash made. I did a kind of prototype sheath here that, I mean, it works, but it's not, I don't like it. And the whole point of it was to put it on a belt, and I did make a belt loop for it, but in my ingenuity, I thought throwing an extra rivet in there would be more durability, which sure, but then I made it too small to actually fit a belt through there. So yeah, I have been looking at different knife sheaths, like this one, that this is multiple layers of leather. This looks like 4 layers of leather, and then they just cut out the middle of one of the layers so the knife can kind of slip in there. I kind of like that idea, but also this is really, really thick, and I am hand stitching, so I don't really feel like killing my fingers. So even though this didn't work out as the knife sheath that I wanted, it still works out to be a good cast iron skillet pot holder. So we still got something out of it, I guess. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of mess around and see what I come up with, and I don't know. I might do a couple little trial pieces to see what happens. But I have a bunch of scrap leather that I do want to try to use for this project, just because I don't really know what I'm doing. So here's my lovely scrap bag. I do have some thicker pieces like this that I could try to use. That's pretty thick. That's really thick. I bought this when I very first started leatherworking. Ooh, that's really thick. Just to test stuff out, and I ended up having a lot of very thick pieces in here, which is okay, but I'm also debating if I want to do veg tan or chrome tan. I think I want to do veg tan because I feel like it would be a little sturdier, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this knife sheath, mostly because I see a lot of other sheaths kind of fold it in half like this, and then you kind of just stitch along this edge and you put the knife in, but this knife has a blade on both ends instead of, you know, where it's got the spine of the blade, I guess, and then the blade. So I feel like it would have to be a little more like this, where it's a little more symmetrical. My only worry is making it durable enough, because I don't want the knife to stab through and cut the stitching at the bottom. So I think that's my main problem I had to figure out. Yeah. Which, I don't know, let me see. That's another thing too I thought about, is just making a sheath for the blade part of it, like how this is kind of, and having the handle be left out, but this blade is so short, I don't know that it would hold into anything very well, because that's the thing, is the blade, like the handle is really thick too. So like if I make something for the blade, then I don't have to really worry about getting through this, because that was where I was running into issues with this, was like it's just a very tight fit, and I might want to wet mold something, and I feel like the force of putting it in is where I would worry about stabbing through the bottom. So I might, yeah, maybe I'll try something like this instead and do just the blade and do a little kind of snap thing around. I did not make this, by the way. I wish I did. It's really beautiful, but yeah, because I'm not liking this right now. So maybe I'll do a thicker leather like this. And just do the blade part and stitch that together so it'll be easier in and out, and then I'll do a little, I guess I'll do a longer piece behind, do a piece on top, stitch that, do a little clasp. We'll see how that works. It's the best I can do at this point, you know what I mean? So I guess I'll start up here so that I can use up some of this little skinny bit. And this is kind of the biggest piece I have, so I will work with this. And it's really nice. It's kind of like, I don't know what this is. I got this again like in a scrap bin. Oh, so this looks like the skin side, and this looks like the flesh side, but even the flesh side is like very smooth and like nice, which is, but yeah, I can tell this side's like definitely shiny and nice, and this side, well, it still is, but anyway, I'm rambling. This is going to be interesting to cut through because it is pretty thick compared to the stuff that I'm used to working with. I'm used to working more like pretty thin stuff in comparison, I guess. We'll see what happens, yeah? So maybe I'm gonna have to like definitely gonna struggle cutting through this a bit, like I said. Okay, so I have to think about also, so what I did for this one was I left the back piece longer and then I flipped it over so that I can make the belt loop, which I could do here, although this is pretty thick. I don't know how well it would flip without it being super bulky, or I could cut it and then just directly sew on a belt loop on the back, which would definitely work and would be less bulky, but I'm also going to be stitching through, it's going to be more stitching through this thick leather, but that's okay. Alright, so I think I'll do, yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay. Okay. I've like, I don't think I've ever cut through leather this thick, so, oh, cool. That was a lot easier than I thought it would be because I got a new blade on this, which is fantastic. Get my little ruler out. Sorry if you guys shake. There we go, I'm just measuring the distance at the top and the bottom to make sure my lines are parallel, and if they're the same distance, then I'm good. Okay, cool. Cut it and then realized I hope I made it wide enough. Okay. Got that. So I guess I'll cut this at the bottom. I'm just cutting it big to give myself room to work, in case there's something I'm not realizing. There we go. Okay, and then you know what I mean? So it'll be like, I guess I could have just continued on those lines then. You know what I mean? Cool. Hopefully I gave myself enough, you know, I guess as they say in the sewing world, like seam allowance. For this, but we'll see. Again, this was just scrap leather that I bought, you know, like 8 years ago or something. I've just been sitting it around, so it's just been sitting around, I should say. There we go. Yeah, again, I'm kind of just dealing with the fact that it's a very thick, I'm not even on camera, a very thick handle. You gotta deal with that in the back somehow. Maybe, see, that's what I think happened with this knife, was that, here, I'll take the knife out and see if I can show the inside. So they have 4 layers of leather. There's 2 down here, 1 up top, and then there's another here kind of on the sides that they cut out the middle of, so that you can just slip the blade in. And then the handle is still kind of flat with the back of the knife, I guess you could say. So I could maybe try that with this, and you know what I mean? Like give it an extra layer in the back so that the handle has something to sit on. And hello! I know, it's been a hot minute since I've been on here, so I'm still alive. Yeah, I'm just messing around attempting to make a knife sheath. I also haven't really made one before, so I don't know what I'm doing, but we're just messing around with some scrap. So, trying to figure out what would be the best way to do this. So I think I want to do this. I could do another layer back here. Do another layer on top. Kind of sandwich that together, but that's going to be a beefy little knife sheath right there, but I think I'm just going to go for it because, again, like it's, oh, actually, okay, I'm looking at the handle, there's a thicker side of the handle and a thinner side, so I think, ooh, that's better. Okay, alright, I'm gonna do this. Okay, I got a plan now. Now we're cooking with oil, okay. is a different leather, isn't it? Yes. But perhaps... Well, we're gonna see. Luckily, my darling husband bought me this to put on my hand to stitch through leather for specifically projects like this where you have insanely thick leather. So I'll probably be using this today. I'm gonna see how this works out. Alright, so I'm gonna trim this piece down a bit. Although it's kind of got this like rough edge here, which I'm not like entirely in love with, but I think I can cut it out just barely. Alright, that might not be super precise, but ooh, that's pretty off. Alright, I'll do it that way. Because I'm hopefully going to trim down this end here to kind of match the profile of the blade. Plus this is going to be sandwiched in between. I just want all the edges to line up, so... She's going to be thick, but she going to be durable. Okay. Well, I guess I will center this as best I can and then do my trusty little tool here to give myself a little outline, a little seam allowance, if you will. Alright, I'm just really hoping this top piece is wide enough, but again, we'll trim it up at the end hopefully, and see what happens, I guess, but I think I'm going to do these two pieces on top of each other when I punch the holes out so that they'll line up. So I have my press here because I am definitely not punching through this by hand. I could, but it would be loud and my arms would die, so thank you for believing in me. There we go. Hello, hello. Yeah, let me let me know if y'all have any questions. Because for the most part, I'm just kind of talking out loud and figuring this out as I go. And yeah, again, I kind of haven't streamed in a while, because I just haven't felt super motivated to. I've done other leatherworking projects, but I just kind of, I don't know, sat down and knocked them out and didn't feel like setting up the camera and everything. But this, I'm kind of experimenting, and talking things out loud helps me figure it out, and I figure I'll feel less crazy talking out loud if I have a camera on me. So, alright, I have to move all of my leather out of the way. I have to get my stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna need hole punches, but I'm just gonna get them out anyway. And I will get out. What am I looking for? I'm looking for sewing needles. Yeah, talking to myself in the quiet of my own home is not, um, my cats start looking at me weird. They're like, hello? What's happening? Are you going insane, ma'am? Alright. So, I have my little stitching prongs here that we all know and love. I think... What distance is that? I don't know. I have 3 different, like, widths, I guess, for these, and I have a really close together one, a really far apart one, and a kind of in between. And I feel like I always go for the in between one. And I feel like I might want to do the further apart one for this. I don't know why, it just feels right, so I'm gonna do it. Yeah, this is my little press here. So it's got an adjustable, I don't know what you call it, like a choke or whatever here. And I can kind of put whatever tool I need to in there, assuming the handle is the right size. So like most of my punches that can punch out some perfect holes and stuff, I can put in there, and it's a lot faster and easier than me taking this out with a hammer and just trying to slam on it until it goes through, especially because it's thick leather. And yeah, that would just be all the noise you would hear anyway if I had to hammer it, so that would be not pleasant. But yeah, and then this has like a grid built onto it. Not that I ever use it, because I have to have something not metal on the bottom so that I don't mess up my tools. But it's just there, I guess, for decoration's sake. And then let's do that. I had to make a leash for my Allen key to raise and lower this, or else I would constantly lose it in my desk. A manual press, and you want punches and also leather. I got pretty much all of this stuff at, I think my husband got the punch for me, like the press, I think on Amazon. 2 purposes. Again, 1, because it would make my life easier, and 2, so he doesn't have to hear the hammering constantly, and I can't blame him. It also lets me work on projects late at night without disturbing my neighbors or cats or him or whoever. So and then everything else, I got punches, these punches, I got the leather, and most of this other stuff at Tandy Leather Company, something like that. I'm in San Diego, and there is luckily a brick and mortar store here, but they also have an online website, and then I've also got stuff online from Weaver Leather Supply, and yeah, they're good too. I just like Tandy because I can go into the actual store and like physically see the leather or whatever I want. But yeah, I've had good luck with Weaver as well. And yeah, some of this other stuff has just been, I don't know if you want to call it hand-me-down, but I think I might have told this on here before, but I've got a lot of this leather stuff from an old neighbor that had passed away, and he had willed all this stuff to my dad, and my dad was like, this is cool, but I don't know exactly what to do with it, so he kind of passed it on to me to do what I want to with it. And I'm realizing my punches are not actually... Okay, well, so the punches aren't quite deep enough to punch through both layers of leather. They punch all the way through the top one, and then they indent the second one, so at least I'll have a guide that I can go back and fully punch through so that I can make sure they line up, which is nice. Yeah, and this leather's a lot, it's thick, but it's a lot softer to punch through than I thought it would be, which is nice. I thought I was gonna like struggle with it. trying to keep all these lined up while I punch. Yeah, this thing has made my life so much easier. Cool, I really like this leather. I don't know what it is, but I like the kind of reddish color it has to it, and it's... I don't even know how to describe it. It's like thick, but a kind of buttery at the same time. Which sounds weird, but it's very satisfying to punch through. So I'm going to try to punch through these 2 layers, and then... Okay, she got stuck. There we go. I'm going to punch through these 2. I'm going to have to go through and repunch these holes because, again, they just indented the top and didn't go fully through. And then I'll layer one of these on top of the back and then punch through so I make sure all 3 layers will line up. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. See what happens. But yeah, it's just been a very busy month at work, and again, I've had like a few leatherworking commissions and things like that. I made a wallet, and I made a business card holder for someone, and like a few other little things for either my husband or myself or whatever. But yeah, sometimes I just want to either A, like just knock out the project because it's straightforward and it's not going to take that long, or sometimes I just like working in a more, I don't want to say free-flowing manner, but I kind of like having it here, and then I can pick it up when I want to, and then, you know, go do other chores around the house or something, and then come back to it when I figure something out, or I kind of jump in and out of the project all day, and that doesn't really, it's not very conducive to streaming, I guess you could say. I was blanking on the word for streaming. Okay. And then okay, I already have the holes punched out totally for this one, so I'll line these up and punch through these. Change the angle on this a bit. And then I'll go back through the other 2 and fully punch out everything. Here's hoping everything lines up. Sometimes I'll stick in, that's a bobby pin. Okay, I don't know what that was doing there. Sometimes I'll stick a needle in there to make sure my holes are kind of lined up. There we go. Yeah, that's why I've been trying to do the taxidermy and stuff too with the mice, because I can usually finish that in one stream, and then I could do like another quick one to do like the little touch-ups and stuff and kind of finish them up. But sometimes the leatherworking is, you know, like I've been doing my really big project for quite some time. I think I've already done 2 streams with it, and yeah, it's a big, you know, shotgun case that I'm definitely not going to get done one stream, but that was kind of my intention. It was to be, kind of have an ongoing running project, I guess you will. Which is fine, but yeah, the motivation to do it sometimes is not is not there, because I'm like, well, I'm just going to make progress on it and not really like get that satisfaction of completing it, so it's like you don't get as much motivation to do it. But that is another one that I do want to work on some more, because again, it's a project I've been thinking about for a really long time, and I can probably show it here. I haven't made any progress on it since the last time I've streamed it, but okay. so I have 3 pieces of leather. You can't really see that, but they all have holes punched out in the rough shape of the blade. This is the only piece that has the holes punched all the way through, so I'll have to lower my doodad here and then punch through the other 2 completely. Not that low. I did also have the fleeting thought about streaming a game today, even though I've never done that before, because I've been very into Kingdom Come Deliverance recently, and I've been doing that after work and stuff, and I was like, do I want to do some leatherworking? Do I want to play Kingdom Come? And I realized that it was early enough that I could do both today, and not feel like I missed out on one or the other. Okay, now those have holes all the way through. One last one. This isn't tight on here. There we go. Jeez. But yeah, I've been doing more leatherworking projects. I've been getting better with dyeing things, which has been really exciting because I've been kind of, I don't want to say notoriously bad at dyeing, but it's been hard to kind of figure out because there's so many different dyes and stains and whatever, but I've been pretty successful recently in dyeing stuff and not having, you know, like things, the dye transfer and stuff afterward. I've been doing pretty good about dyeing things a fairly consistent layer and then sealing everything in and feeling good about it, so I've been leatherworking for 5 years now, maybe, but I'm always improving. Okay, so we have our 3 layers here. They are all punched through. I'm just gonna sew it up and see what happens, I guess, and then I can trim some of this away. I'll make a belt loop on the back, and then I'll make the strap to go around the handle. Alright, let me get my thread. I'm like wondering if I should bust out the stitching pony for this. It's a small project. I think it'll be okay. I don't remember when I bought this spool of thread, but it's lasted me quite a long time. I've been surprised. I like it. Alright, I need to get new needles also, because some of these are the needles that kind of got hand-me-downed that aren't, they're kind of rusty and gross, and some of these I bought myself, but some of them are trying to get a little gross too, like I've put them in glue or whatever, or sometimes like you will glue 2 pieces together and then when you punch the holes you make sure it's all lined up, and so sometimes I end up punching my holes through where I've glued, so I end up kind of running my needle through the, I end up running my needle through the glue and it gets gross. so I got my little strings here. I forgot to tell Alex I'm streaming. Okay. So, yeah, I'm just doing a typical, I think this is called the saddle stitch. You start on one side. Okay, this is pretty thick. I'm gonna need this. So you cut one string. I try to cut it like twice as long as I'm gonna need it, because you fold it in half. And then you just start from the front of the project, go through. So you have 2 strings on the back, and then you take your top string, feed it through the second hole. I might need a stitching pony. Alright, so I'm getting out this thing called a stitching pony. I initially wasn't going to use it because it's just a small project. It shouldn't take me long to sew through, but I'm realizing that it's pretty thick leather and there's 3 layers, so it's kind of like moving around as I'm trying to sew it. So all this does is it kind of acts like a third hand, and you set it up. Take forever tightening it up. And then it's got this long piece. I usually just sit on this so I can have it all nice and right here. Yeah, this usually just comes with the wood. I added the leather on here to kind of like cushion it and make sure it's not, I guess, making indents in my projects or anything. So I'm just going to tighten this, and then I'm going to put this, I guess I'll put it like this. And then it's secure, it's not going anywhere, and then I can just stitch back and forth without trying to have to hold all 3 layers together. Oops, I'm doing the wrong way. Yeah, so this thing is helpful because it has this little metal piece on the inside that has, it kind of looks like honeycomb on the inside, and it's metal, so you can put like the butt of a needle into it and help, it kind of helps you just like push through the leather, because I've definitely done projects where I didn't have this and my thumbs and my hands were like destroyed afterward. And sometimes pulling it through is hard, so sometimes if I have really thick leather, or if I didn't punch out my holes very great and they're not super lined up, I have to use pliers to like rip the needle out through the other side, which isn't like super uncommon, especially with leather working. Did this not punch all the way through? Oh no, it did. Again, I'm just glad I have this thing. Alright. I sometimes sew leather to my pieces, and using a standard embroidery thread needle is dumb. Yeah, it's rough. Like, even right now, I'm only, what, like 2 stitches deep, and trying to pull this through sometimes, I'm like, I might just grab my pliers right now, because I'm not trying to ruin my, okay, well, these are like, good God, these are like rusted shut. I'll try these ones. There we go. Yeah, the pliers definitely help. Because, I don't know, leather is just... She thick, she durable. I do have a leather sewing machine, which is, well, it's supposed to sew through leather. It's a big table machine, so I don't have it here. Because I have no space in my condo, but I'm excited but also scared to use a leather sewing machine. Just because I'm nervous I'm going to cut out all my pieces and get it like all perfect and then, you know, not really know how to use the sewing machine and mess up my project, because once you make whole leather you can't really take it back. I can do bookbinding. I have been interested in bookbinding, especially, you know, because you can do like leather covers, and so I have thought about like making my own journals and stuff. Yeah, I guess I never really thought about the fact that you'd be sewing paper together essentially for that. But I like that. That's interesting. That's another project I do want to do at some point, is make myself like a leather bound journal. But I'm sure there's other maybe tools and stuff that I probably need that I don't have. Ooh, goat hide is good for covers. I could see that, like it being really soft, and like if you want one of those like flexible journals. I like that. I think I might, I don't know, I'd probably, I don't know, that's a good one. I think, again, I love the veg stand because you can carve into it and do all the tooling and stuff, which is something I really enjoy doing, and is like, you can personalize it a lot. But I also really like the feeling of some of the chrome tan that I have, and it's really nice and soft, and I think would make for a good book cover. I mean, who knows, I might have to make 2 journals. Yeah, sometimes hobbies, you know, you get into it for a while and then life gets busy or whatever, and you gotta just pause it for a while and then you get back into it. And I definitely did that with, I mean, a lot of my hobbies. I did it with gaming, I've done it with even leatherworking for a while, because again, like when I first got this leatherworking kit from that neighbor, I messed around with it a little bit, but I never really like physically actually made anything, like any sort of finished product with it, until years later. My needle's getting lost in here. Oh my god, okay. Yeah, no, depression definitely can affect that. I know I was like really big into gaming when I was younger, and then, you know, once I got into kind of, I mean, high school I still did a bit, but not as much, and then, yeah, especially once I got into like community college and stuff, and then college, and I'm just like, I don't have time for this. And I mean, even the leatherworking stuff, like I do off and on, because it, oop, dropped Neil. It can be so time consuming, and so, you know, they're not like, most of the time it's not the quickest project, you know, and you need a lot of, you know, tools or supplies for it, that you don't always have. Like, you don't maybe have the right leather for the project, or you need some more thread or what have you. But I've always ended up like finding my way back to it, and it's been enjoyable for me. Alright, I think the thing I like about it most is that I make something usable out of it at the end of the day, and that's what, like, one of my big things in life, I guess, is like how practical something is. I mean, I do that with even like clothing and stuff. I'm just a very more practical person. when you thread your needles, you thread and then push the needle through the thread to lock it in place. I don't. I know a lot of people do, and I probably should, because my needles fall off my thread sometimes, especially if they're just hanging down like this, but I don't know why I don't, I guess. I should try it. I feel like it would definitely help me, but I don't know. I think I also get nervous that I'm gonna, play the thread game of ending up accidentally cutting like exactly how much I need, and so I'm worried if I go back and push it through, then I won't have enough. But yeah, thread chicken. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Hello. I don't think this is ambidextrous. I think this is just for righties. That's okay. I think these holes are not, they're lined up, but they're not, could be better. That's all I'll say. Okay, I'm like getting stuck somewhere between the second and third layer. There we go. I do that sometimes though, pushing it through the thread, the needle, unintentionally, because like when I'm sewing through this, right, let me tighten this one up. I don't even know if you can see because I'm like off camera, I just realized. So I take the needle and I go through the front side of the project and I push it through the back and I pull it out. And then the thread that's on the back is coming out a hole up. So I take the top thread and I push it through the hole I just went through in the front. And sometimes the thread gets caught in there and I end up pushing through the thread, and then I can't tighten it because I pushed it through the thread when it's like not in the right spot, and I just gotta kind of cut my losses and cut my thread and start a new one. And I've tried to back it out before, and sometimes it works and a lot of times it doesn't. Also, stitching always takes me way longer than I imagine it will. I'm like, oh, there's not that many holes in this project. We'll get it done real quick. Here I am, struggling. There we go. So I am halfway done. I don't know if I'll have enough thread actually, but we'll see. Let's see if I can. I'll do a little close up. I have to manually adjust my camera focus because it doesn't do it on its own, but I'm working with what I got. There we go. Got halfway done. See, I'm like halfway through. I'll move this over a little bit. So you can actually see me stitching. Yeah, not necessarily turn around and go back. I guess I'm just stitching from one end and going all the way up the other end. So I'm just going to turn it around in the stitching pony so that I have access to this side of stitching holes, I guess, but more or less just keep going. Yeah, I guess I'll see. I should have enough thread, but guess we'll see. Yeah. I don't know how I've... Oops. I don't know how I've done some of these projects before without this thing, because again, I've already only done... Again, this isn't a huge project, and I've not done that many stitches, and my fingertips are already starting to get sore if I'm not using this thing. Especially if I have to like dig the needle around and find where every hole is at. There you go. There's got to be needle grips that aren't pliers. I don't know. To be honest, it's a good question. If there aren't, I mean, could be a billionaire making some. But luckily, with leatherworking, the needles are really thick, so I don't feel nervous about breaking them. I think actually in my whole time I've done leatherworking, you know, for the past like 5 years now, I think I've only ever broken one needle. All these other ones I've used and reused and put through torture. Yeah, the leatherworking ones are pretty, I mean, I think you can see that from there. They're fairly thick. They are pointy, but they're not like a sewing needle. I have stabbed myself pretty good, but I don't think I've ever made myself like bleed with them. So they're sharp, but not super stabby sharp, I guess. Move over here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, every time I've done embroidery or anything like that, I've always stabbed myself at least once. Especially, same thing with leatherworking, I always stab myself, but lots of blood has gotten on your projects, yeah. I don't know if I've gotten blood on my projects, but I've definitely stabbed myself several times. I've started using a little sewing machine for, you know, just general like patching up clothes and whatnot, but I have such a problem with sewing machines. I can never get the bobbin threaded right, and then I was like I was patching my work pants the other day, and I finally got the bobbin threaded, and then it kept binding up at the bottom when I would sew, and it would just jam up, and I thought it was like the tension or something, and then I realized that I didn't even like thread the top thread correctly through the sewing machine, and it was just messing up my whole thing, and I wasted so much thread trying to figure out what was going on. But I don't know, sewing machines are really, like, if you get them working right and you know what you're doing, they can save a lot of time. But if you have any issues, oh my god, I'm like, I would just rather hand stitch this at this point. Which, again, is like the exciting but also scary part about using a sewing machine for leather. You know, it's like, it could save so much time. Like, I could already have been done with this. This thing would have taken like 20 seconds to stitch. But also, if I did it wrong, then I would have just wasted a lot of leather. That's what makes sticking yourself with leather needles so rough. Yeah, it's true. It's like you're just getting stabbed with like a blunt object. You don't even get the clean stab. Every time I'm like, oh, I could pull it through with my fingers. It went in really easy, and then I realize it hurts. I think I'm definitely playing Thread Chicken right now. And then I've done this before too, where the tail of my thread is still stuck in my project and I kept sewing. And I'm like, why is my thread so short? Ah! I also decided to stream today because my cats were being abnormally calm and quiet. Because sometimes they get rambunctious recently. I don't know what it's been, but they've been restless and screaming. They want in and out, in and out. I guess that's the only thing about this, I don't even know what you'd call this. The needle pusher is, I think you can only go on the one hand, and I need to push my needle through on both sides. So I either just switch hands back and forth, or I try to just like use the pliers and like grab it and push it through, so I don't have to keep taking it on and off. But I haven't gotten to use this thing very much yet, and so I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do it, I guess. I can hear my cat gently snoring up in the cat tree. It's very cute. I don't know where everyone else lives, but it has been raining here this morning, and it's been nice. I've been enjoying it. As much as I love the warmth, we had an oddly hot March in San Diego, and it was gross. And I'm just enjoying whatever rain we can get. Oh, that's right, you're up in the Bay, yeah. Yeah, I think it's already, it's still kind of cloudy outside, but I think the rain is over with, sadly. Sometimes I just want a rainy hot cocoa day, you know? And I want to be able to wear my long sleeve shirts and my pants and my rain jacket without having to change halfway through the day. Alright, we're definitely playing thread chicken. This is how much thread I have left. Sometimes I'm playing thread chicken to the point where I have so little thread that I can't even like have it threaded through the needle and then push it through the leather. I have to like pre-push the needle most of the way through the leather and then thread the eye of the needle while it's sticking in there. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Cross stitching. I don't know if I'm trying to think if I've done cross stitching before. I think I might have once or twice, but I've definitely done more embroidery. Alright, I got 3 holes left. I think we got this, boys. Stab it through. I'm just taking my needles off at this point because they're just going to fall off. Yeah, cross-stitching seems fun though. I've seen videos of it and it seems very satisfying. And like you could do it. There's ways to do it where you can, efficiency-wise, I guess you could do it pretty quick. But yeah, I've just been doing embroidery. I haven't done it in a minute actually. Again, I kind of like hop around with my hobbies a lot of the time. And I was doing embroidery for a hot minute, and then recently I've been doing more of the like friendship bracelets, which you're still using the same thread, but you're just knotting it together instead of like sewing with it. I'm doing a pretty thick design right now, so it's taking me a while. Good golly, we got one last. Okay, I'm gonna have to do the thing I said earlier where I thread it through and then and then find the needle of my eye of my needle. Oh my god, okay. Yeah, I haven't done friendship bracelets on a loom. I just kind of, I don't know, I get a clipboard or I find something to like hold the top with, and yeah, you just keep doing knots down the row until you know. These ones are really old. I've actually had this one on for like 2.5 years. I think I've had this one on for, yeah, maybe like a year and a half, 2 years or something. They're getting pretty beat though. Alright, luckily my long thread is on the front because I like to backstitch one stitch at least. Okay. Alright, the thread chicken was real today. We almost lost. But the important thing is we didn't, okay? We persisted and we saw it through and we won the game of thread chicken. But it was close. So, alright, what I'm gonna do now, put my little needles back, and I'll see how this fits first. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. I'll have to kind of create a pocket for it. There we go. Oh. I'm dumb. I realized I missed a hole. Well, I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Let's see. So we got it. I always do it the wrong way. I missed a hole. God, everything's backwards. I missed a hole at the bottom. Yeah, structurally it's fine, but it's just gonna bother me mentally to know I skipped a hole, but I could always just go back in and, you know, add a short section of thread there and it's not gonna do anything, but hey, we got the knife in there. Oh, she toit, okay. Put a little gem there. Yeah, just do a concho down there. Yeah, she fits. She fits, she sits. Alright, cool. So I'm gonna trim this up down here so it's not a misaligned blunt square. And then I have some more of this red leather that I can make the belt loop with on the back. Oh, let me burn these ends first before I forget. God, I'm jumping around everywhere, aren't I? Okay. So I just cut them short, and then I take a lighter, a little tiny baby lighter, and I burn the ends, and then I just smoosh it. And then the threads won't come out, hopefully. Okay. Do I want to trim this first? Yeah, I'll trim it first. Let's move all this out of the way. Oh god, I'm cutting through 3 layers. Okay. Sheesh! She's thick. Yeah. She's looking a little better already. it's like simultaneously easy and difficult to cut through. I don't know how to explain it. I think, yeah, like leather itself is nice and kind of buttery, but it's also just very thick. I'm getting the hand shakes where I'm like using so much force to try to get through it. I also want to try to make this as even as possible and as decent looking as possible, because if this does end up coming out good, again, this is a friend's knife that he, I think, kind of found slash, I think he maybe found the blade part of it and then made the handle or something, and he wanted a knife sheath for it, and I was like, well, I'll see what I could do. So if this turns out good, this will be the finished one. Oh my goodness. I'm wondering if I should round it out, because that's thick. What I realized I just have is I realized I have this template for, let me move my camera back because you don't need to see me that much. Hopefully that's more or less in focus. Okay, so I realized, I remembered I had this template here, which can help you cut out ends of, say, belts and things like that. And boy howdy, we got a perfect size. I'll probably take, because this isn't going to stay on here for me to cut it because it's so thick. Man, my mind is just like fried right now. This doodad, it's just got like a blunt point on it, but I can kind of scribe or etch, if you will, where I want to cut. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous girlies. She's squeaking. I do have this, which I've seen a lot of people like cutting with, but I haven't done it before. Ooh, ooh, hold on. Ooh, give me, hold on. You're gonna have to take a seat over here, miss. That's a very satisfying noise. I don't know if that's loud enough for y'all to hear, but never mind, I got thick. Ooh, that's real nice. some fuzz on the side here. Okay. She's coming together. Look at her. Look at that. Oh yeah, it's be nice to kind of... There we go. I'm doing something. I don't know if it's right, but I'm doing something. Hey, you know, it ain't too shabby. Cute! And then just like, I like it. Oh my god, I'm getting hungry. I feel my stomach about to growl. But I'm gonna finish this before I eat. Okay, I should probably grab my belt so that I can make sure I'm getting the belt loop the correct size. And I still got... I mean, I guess I really used up a lot of this leather, huh? I think this one is close enough, and it's gonna be on the back anyway, that I think I can use this and it'll be okay for the belt loop. Hunky. Okay. I'm gonna grab my belt real quick. BRB! Okay, I got my belt, and I realized what I had on my belt was another knife holster, I guess? Knife? I don't know if you want to call it a knife sheath, because it's not... I guess it's still a sheath, but it's for a pocket knife. A buck, if you will. And this is more what I was thinking for the belt loop holder doodad. So I could probably just kind of take some inspo from this. I like that they stitched it down here and then flipped it over so that you have a nice open loop. Because if I were to stitch it flat without bending it over, it might be a little too tight. And I think, yes ma'am, okay, thank God. Problem I realized I could have run into was that I didn't make this long enough, or the belt loop would have needed to be so big that I would have had to stitch down here into where the sheath goes, which is fine, but I already stitched all this together, so if I needed to do that, I would have to take all this apart, which I don't want to do. But just looking at the size comparison, is that my cat crying? I'm looking at the size comparison of this belt loop and where the sheath ends, and I think that will be more than enough space. And I think this is actually a little loose on the belt, yeah. So I got some wiggle room, so I could even make this, I don't want it to be like deathly tight on the belt or anything, but I could definitely make it a little smaller, because I think this is a fairly standard belt width. Yeah, and then I have to think this through real quick, because I'm going to put the belt loop on the back, which should be fine. And then I want to do a little wraparound on the front, which should also be fine. And I should be able to do them in either order. It shouldn't really matter. Well, maybe it does matter. I think I might need to do the loop first, because although I don't know if it needs one. It's pretty tight. Yeah, I'll do one. I was thinking if either way, if I'm stitching this or doing a rivet, 'cause I think this one is riveted on. Yeah, it's got a rivet on there. It's gonna have to go through this, and if I already have a piece of leather back here for the belt loop, I might have to go through that. So I'm gonna do the loop first, actually. And I think the reason I want to do the loop is because this is going to be so top heavy, kind of, that I feel like if I don't do the loop, then it'll start pulling away and then maybe start straining the stitching and stuff, which obviously we don't want, so I will do the loop first. Problem solved. Look at that. And I think that's my biggest, I don't want to say roadblock with leatherworking, but it's definitely my biggest, I guess, contributor of, I guess, like, the number one reason why I would have to take pieces apart and, or just scrap them and start over, is not thinking through each and every step like that. Because yeah, I have totally stitched stuff together and then realized that I had to put something else on, you know, on top of it or in between layers or something, and I'm like, well, I just spent an hour stitching for nothing, so I gotta take it apart. But luckily, I think I did pretty good this time. Probably saying that preemptively, but that's okay. Alright, so I don't need the strap to be super wide or anything. I'll probably narrow that down a bit, but let's get my ruler. I just like to measure. There's been so many times where I have eyeballed my ruler and made a parallel line, and then I cut it, and then it's like that, and I'm like, alright, well, apparently eyeballing it was not good enough, so now I measure. I just do from the top, and I measure. Good God, I have too much stuff on my desk. So I measure. It's about 1.5 centimeters. I need to push that in a little bit, and I'm parallel. Except now when I cut and I push my ruler away. Alright. That was still wonky, but that's okay. I think it's going to be longer than it needs to be anyway, so it won't matter too much. Yeah, this has to be 2 straps, right? So this is going to be thick. So maybe I want to do this with some thinner leather, but I also want this to match the rest of it, so I might just skive this down so it's thinner and it won't be this absolutely massive, bulky strap. Yeah, I'll do that. So another thing this tool is useful for is skiving, which is thinning out. Oh my God. cutting off bits of the back of the leather so that it's not so thick. And that was one of my most successful skives that I've done so far. Skiving is not the easiest thing, at least in my opinion. It takes like a bit of practice, especially because it's really easy for you to go too far or just have the wrong angle or something and you end up cutting through your project. And I've read like horror stories of some people that have like, you know, made some beautifully tooled belt or something and they went to go skive, you know, the end of it so they can loop it back and snap together, whatever, for the buckle, and they like cut through the piece and you're like, well, so whatever skiving I try to do at the beginning of my project or on a piece that I can easily take on and off or replace or something, because skiving is not my strong suit and I don't feel like ruining a whole project because I didn't skive something right. So if I need to skive a belt, that's like one of the first things I'm doing, because if I mess it up, at least I did it in the first step and I didn't, you know, ruin it after I've done all this like beautiful work on it or something. So that's just me anyway. Some people are different, but oh my god, this is not easy. There's other tools for skiving too. I have some other stuff. I have like this thing. You just like put a little razor blade in here and you can kind of like do that and shave it down, but I feel like it isn't awesome. It just kind of creates a lot of this little like leather dust. This I feel like definitely takes off bigger slices, if you will, which is cool, but yeah, again, if you're not like careful with it, it's, oh lord, like that. And also, I don't know if you can even tell, but it's, again, I'm not great at it, so it's not, it's very even. I know there's like a right way to hold this too, and you're supposed to kind of like slice through it. And it's easier said than done. So then I get to like, you know, mostly, there we go. I feel like I cut through a lot of it with this to get a lot of the meat off, and then I kind of go over it with this to like even everything out, because I don't do a very smooth job with this. I tend to like dig in and then go, and then so I have these kind of waves throughout. But here, I can show a close-up actually, because it's a pretty good side view of what the skiving does. See, I've skived down here. I have not skived this part down here. So you can see, I guess, how much thinner that's gotten. Maybe. Who knows? It doesn't look like a lot sometimes, but it definitely adds up, especially when you have multiple layers of leather that you're stacking on top of each other. It adds up very quickly. Alright, come on now. This piece is stubborn. Maybe I'll try shaving it. Yeah, I mean, this thing definitely works. It just takes off less material at once, which isn't always a bad thing, but this is actually working better for me than usual. Usually I get like this very fine dust that I'm like, it feels like I'm sanding away at it instead of shaving it. But this is also thicker leather, so there actually is stuff for it to like bite into, I guess. There we go. We got a little bit of a thick spot there in the middle. Better. So I'm gonna do, how am I gonna do this? Beep. Beep. I mean, I could just do it like this. Yeah, because this one is one piece of leather. It's riveted in the middle, right behind the handle, and then it just folds around and you can snap it. And I think I might do that. Why not? Who says we can't? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that'll be nice. That'd be cute. Nice and cute. Yeah, alright, that'll be good. I like it. I'll cut it. Where's my little doodad? Here we go. I'll cut it. Cut it here for now. See how we feel about it. Alright, and then another thing I like to do is line up my ends like that, and just kind of generally make sure I have a square piece that's all the same width, which is a little thicker on one end than the other, so I might trim it down a little bit. Gorge. Okay. Alright, so we got our knife in here. I'm going to put this piece back here. I'll do a hole in the back, do a rivet through it, and then I'll do this and I'll put a snap on the front. It's gonna be cute. Okay, hold on. Jeez, alright, I almost stabbed myself getting that thing out. I gotta figure out what hardware I want to use. I think I'll do silver just to match the rivets on the actual handle itself. I don't know. Oh my gosh, am I gonna finally be able to use my like massive tall boys in here? Or actually no, I'm not riveting that down here. I'm just doing this. That's too much still. Dang it. That'll probably be good. Should I do two? Or is one good? Let's put her back in here. Okay. My mind wants to do two because I'm like, more is better and more secure, but I'm like, I think it realistically only needs one. This is just a little strap to keep the handle in. A little, you know, it should be good. Which, actually now that I'm thinking of it, I have to see if my snaps will fit. These are the magnetic snaps I have. Which might be too big for these. Well, well, actually, I think we might just be able to barely get away with it. Or I can see what I got in my little snap inventory. actually found this pack of snaps at Goodwill, which was kind of amazing, but that's like also just the perfect width, which this one has like the same width button as it does strap, and that doesn't look bad, so I think I could get away with it. I think now I'm just torn if I want a typical regular like clicky snap or if I want a magnetic snap. I think that I might want to go for the regular one just for security. You know what I mean? Like so that it keeps the knife in place. But in that case, because all my snaps are this kind of brass color, I'm not going to do the silver hardware. I think I do I have brass? I think I do. This is brass, bronze. Colors, silver / gun black / bronze. Okay. That doesn't really tell me a lot. I guess bronze. Ooh, she gonna be good. Okay. I'm excited. The only reason I'm hesitant to do a typical snap is that's one of my things that have had troubles setting in the past. It's figuring out how to set snaps and set. I don't know why the magnetic snaps are so much easier, but they just are. But these ones you need like special tools to squish down so they don't, so they set but they don't like mess up. Okay. Hello. Here's a step-by-step diagram on a business card. I'm gonna have to study this real quick. The heck? Well, I have more of this leather. I think. Or is this the same? No, it's not. This is, I need... Maybe I should try setting these on a scrap piece. Yeah, snaps are complicated, at least to me. You think they should be easy, but there's like 4 pieces. And I have a bunch of snap setting tools, but it was some of the stuff that kind of like came with the bin of stuff that I got from the old neighbor. So I don't know exactly what they go to, but we'll figure it out. I also have this like bag that came with all of the stuff that got passed down in the will. Which, yeah, it's funny that you said to put a little gem on the hole that I missed, because there is a pack of little gems in here for leatherworking. I have no idea how to attach them in any way, because they're just kind of gems in metal settings, and I have no idea how to put them on anything, but I do have them. Yeah, I do have, like, I did. I have these also, which I know can punch holes, and I think is supposed to be able to set snaps as well, but I have never been able to like successfully do it. I can always try, see how it works. And then I have all these tools. Like I have this, which is a little like convex metal piece to kind of put maybe like the top in. Is this convex? Very slightly, okay. Alright, let me read this stupid tiny business card. Okay, punch a hole in the leather. I can do that. And then it's saying to put okay. Yeah, this is definitely from China. Because I love all of the typos on the back of the business card. It is our goal to provide satisfactory products. Any questions, please contact us anytime. Please. Okay, so it looks like I punch a hole in the leather. I put the top piece on in there, and I put the leather on with the hole through the post, and then I put this back on. And I use a tool that looks like something I have. Like this, perhaps. That's a little big. I think I have something. Maybe. Okay. And then I punch a hole and do the same thing on the back using another tool. You know what? I'm just gonna go for it. Let's see what happens. Okay. My desk just becomes such a mess with leatherworking. It's amazing I could find anything. Hence why I have this on a leash. Hence. Okay. Alright, don't need the stitching prongs anymore. At least right now. I will when I do the belt loop. And then I have to figure out what size hole to punch this. I'm gonna start small. That's a little too small. Mayhaps. Oh, I think that one might fit. So I'm gonna put her up in there. Forget which way to tighten this every time, because I think it's opposite of what it should be. Okay. We're gonna lower her on down. We're gonna take our little leather strip, wherever I put it, right here. And we're gonna punch a hole right, that looks about middle, so I'm gonna punch a hole right there. Okay. And then this is gonna go on the top. This is the fun, that's the fancy piece you're gonna see. And then I put this piece underneath. Wow. And then I think essentially what I'm supposed to do, because there's the post that's sticking up out of the leather, and then I put this piece on, and I think I'm supposed to kind of just squish that post, kind of like mushroom it out. So I'm gonna try to do that. I'll punch the other hole for the other side first, I guess. See how I need to place it. About right here, okay. I kind of do a little light impression of it, see where it's gonna be, and then I commit. Okay, I'm gonna lift this up again. Don't need the hole punch anymore. Now I need to figure out which one of these tools is going to work for me. So I have all these tools that I'll show that have, they kind of have a flat part, and then they have like a little bit sticking out of the top. So I think I need to figure out which one of these I put in. Where did my piece go? Here it is. I have to figure out which one of these is going to fit well in this to kind of mushroom. Ooh, I think that one might work. Hold on. Perchance. I think maybe she might work. There's this one too. It's very small. That one could work pretty well too, and it's got a bigger surface area. So I'm wondering if that might help squish it out a little bit more, because I think if I don't squish this thing out enough, it's not going to stay, and then yeah, it's not going to snap together right. So, well, yeah, I mean, we'll just try it and see what happens. Again, I got this whole box of... God, I keep misplacing everything. Hello? Oh, I got this whole box of snaps. I found it at Goodwill. So it's not like I'm gonna be out a ton of money or anything if I mess up these snaps. They're not expensive. They're Goodwill snaps. Okay. So I'm gonna put my nice side in this convex piece here. I'm gonna put this piece here. Oh, I need to lower it a little bit more. Okay. I gotta like get in there, line it up. Oh. I'm not sure what that was, but... Did I do it? Oh my god. I did it! It snapped! Yay! Okay. Oh, cool. Okay, I think I did it. Love that. Love that for us! Okay. So now I have to do the other half. I have to remember... This is on the outside. And they're gonna come together like this. I need to do this on the back, which I might need to punch a bigger hole for because it's a bigger post. Or I'll just force it through. See what happens. Oh, it is windy outside. I thought it was going to get sunny today after the rain, but it is not looking like that, which I'm not mad about. I might make some hot cocoa. I'm trying to force this post through this hole because I'm too stubborn and I don't want to change out the tool for a bigger hole punch. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sheathe tight, but that's okay. And then I put this piece on there. And then according to this tiny business card, I believe I kind of just do the same thing. Okay. I think this little metal piece here has a convex side. You know, if you have like a button or something that you don't want to flatten out, you'd put that in there. And then it does have a flat side, and I think for this I'm gonna leave it on the flat side because you want the back of the button to be flat, I guess. Or I guess I could just do it straight on the metal part here. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about that. I don't know if that tool's gonna work or if I should do a bigger one. I think that one's too big. Ooh, perhaps. Let me try this one. I'll try this one and see what happens. Again, worst case, I'll have to either try to remove it or I'll just do a new piece of leather or something, but okay. Let me scooch my chair back. Line it all up. Well, hold on. Hold my horses. I might want something smaller because the, what do you call this, like circumference of this tool is like the same as this outside circumference of the snap, and I don't want to mess up that. I just want to squish down the post in the middle. So I might use a narrower tool that I can like get down in there without messing up the actual snap itself. Alright. I'm gonna have to change tools after all. Which one did I decide on? This one? Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll work. I feel like this isn't in all the way. Maybe it is. Hello? Okay, just noises outside. Okay, so hopefully this works. Please. Oh my god. Not quite. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna squish this down a little more, or try to. But I think I got it on there, and it snaps, so I didn't mess it up to, because I've done that before where I've messed up snaps. Oh, that wasn't good. Sorry. I've messed up snaps so that the metal inside was kind of messed up, and you couldn't actually snap them together anymore. Let me just. Okay. I think that should be okay. Hopefully. Maybe. I mean, she's in there. I mean, worst case, I know this person. If it breaks, they can always bring it back to me and I'll fix it and do something else. So now I can, let's see, I'll do that, and then I'll do that. I'll cut this down a bit, yeesh, so it's not in the way. Ah, look at that, that'll be nice. I do wish it was silver, because it's like the same size as the rivets on the actual knife itself, but I don't know, I'm working with what I got. Cool, so I will take the knife out, and I'm gonna punch a hole right there, and throw a rivet in there, my little brass rivets that I got here. Can I fit 2 in there? Not unless I do them opposing, which I could. She'd be secure. I'll do 1. I'm gonna trust myself, I'm gonna do 1. Although they're tiny. This is thick leather. I'll do 2. I can't help it. Nope, that was too long. Okay, I'll do 2 just to make myself feel better. I feel like the more rivets, the more secure. So I have to change this tool out yet again. That's the only downside about this, is that it gets a little tedious if you don't plan out your steps and you're like constantly changing tools back and forth. It's ideal to kind of use the same tool and do everything you need to before changing it, but can't be helped sometimes. But still, it's a lot faster than sitting here and hammering everything by hand. What was I doing? I was finding which size hole to punch for these. That's what I was doing. I think that'll be alright. Try to get the tools in there as straight as I can so I'm not punching crooked holes. I gotta get this back under there so I don't damage my punch. Going straight on the leather, not leather, metal. My brain is fried. Put the knife back in there real quick and see where I want this to be. Oh, I gotta lower this so I can actually reach where I'm punching. That would help. Okay. I can't help it, I have to measure it. Okay, so 2, I'll do... I wonder if that punched through... Oh, yep, it did. Sometimes I wonder if it punched through both layers. And when it picks up this, I'm like, well, that's definitely in there. Alright, we got some fun leather confetti. And then now I can perfect. I was worried I did them too close together. It's gonna look good. Okay. So for this, I'm going to use my little convex guy. Although these are pretty close together, so that'll be interesting to do. Oh well. And then I have this, it's another essentially convex surface, but on a post, so that I can squish it. Again, I'm kind of just making a little knife sheath I've never done before. I'm mostly just talking to myself and thinking out the process. So, if anybody has questions, I'm open for them. But otherwise, I'm kind of just verbalizing my process, and it's helping me think things out so I don't hopefully mess up or do a step in the wrong order. That's the only bad thing about these being so close together is that if I do the little convex thing, well, I think it could still be alright. I'll make it work. It's the back of it anyway, it's not... It ain't important. I mean, it is, but... I want it to be functional over everything. And squinch. Gorge. And... squinch. Oh, I was about to say, well, that's on there, but it's obviously not. I didn't squinch it enough. Which is alright. Okay, now that's on there. Ayy! Cool. Beautiful! Alright, so now I can put this in here. And you got a nice little... wow! Alright, now I need to put a belt loop like this on there, so you can wear it on your belt. I don't think I have enough leather of this, unfortunately, but I do have some that's somewhat similar. It's a little lighter, but still the same kind of feel to it, and it's gonna be on the back. So as long as everything on the front matches for me, that's all I care about. But I gotta figure out, I've never made a belt loop like this before. It seems pretty straightforward though. Looks like I just cut out a strip and then sew it, flip it, sew it. Or I could rivet it. Maybe. Oh, these are like almost the same width, which is nice. That means I didn't make it too big. Which then I might just kind of copy the width of this, if I may. Because I think Buck knows what they're doing. thing I need to get better at is desk organization, but we'll get there one day. I couldn't find the knife and it was right next to my hand. I'm trying to, there we go, cut like, I don't know, maybe this is stupid, but I try to do exact 90 degrees recently because before I would kind of cut through and through, which was fine. It got the leather piece cut, but then I have a cut running into this that I could possibly use this for, you know what I mean? So I know it's minuscule, but we like reducing waste here. Ooh, she's gonna be... Okay, I'm gonna have to skive this down because that's definitely thick and it's gonna be very stiff. So I'm gonna skive down at least the top half where it has to bend over, just to make it like usable. Again, I'm not really good at skiving. I haven't done it a lot, so I'm still learning how to skive. I'm sure... Well, my knife is sharp. It was cutting through all three of these layers really good, but I'm sure I could be holding the knife better or whatever, but it's also some thick leather. Definitely have to like vacuum my desk after this. See how that is. Oh, it's a little better. Sorry if I was off camera, I was just kind of zoning while I was skiving. So I brought my belt here. Oh yeah, that'll be more than enough. Okay, so I'm gonna cut off this piece on the bottom that's not equal. Well, as short of a cut as that was, I did it crooked. Good enough. I like how the further I get into this project, the smaller the space that I work with on my desk is, because I just keep accumulating all of my tools and supplies. Yeah, I might clean this up just a little bit so I have some space to work, because I'm working right here now. When at the beginning of this stream I had my entire desk. So I just kept taking things out. Alright, I still need my needles. I don't need these anymore, I'm done. Well, unless I wanna... do rivets instead of sewing. I'm thinking. So I could do like 3 or 4 rivets and then flip it and do that again down here, or I could just sew it. What is this one? Oh, this one is like a weird, that's a weird one. I think the buck one is sewn. Yeah, they sewed that. I think my only thing I'm thinking of right now is what the stitching and or rivets will look like on the front. Which should be fine because the knife should hopefully be blocking a lot of that, but I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking about it. I'll do some more stitching. I feel like I got stitching down here. I'll do a little up here, tie it together. Okay. Let me clean up some of this because I need space to work. And luckily I have a big toolbox right here. Or like, yeah, one of those big like Craftsman tool drawer sets next to my desk that I keep all my stuff in. So it's easy access. Love that. I don't need these anymore. I'll put the little instructional business card back in here. Still need this. That's gonna be my belt loop, ruler. I still need that, and this. I don't need this though. Do I need my rulers? Yeah, I'm gonna clean up the top here, because it's not cut at a straight edge. I don't need these though. Or these. Alright. Doing better. I am alive, indeed. Yeah. I took quite the break from streaming, so I was not feeling it. I was busy at work. But I'm here. I'm doing my final steps making a nice little knife sheath. This is my, I guess you can call it, second attempt at making a knife sheath. This was my first one. She's a little sad. So I think we've made some progress, if I do say so myself. So my last kind of steps are to take this piece of leather and stitch it here, and then flip it and stitch it there to make a nice little belt loop. So you could wear this on your belt, and then kind of just clean up the sides. I have to, this isn't cut super straight on top, so I have to straighten that out, and I guess just make the edges look all nice. But yeah, this is where we started from. This is how we're doing now. So I think from one attempt to the next, I think I made quite some progress. Yeah, I think taking the handle part out of it was a good call, because like trying to fit this knife in this was not very great. I could definitely fit in there, but it was tight and there wasn't very much handle exposed at the top, so it wouldn't be very easy to take out. But this I started making out of inspiration from this knife sheath, which I did not make, but it's very nice. I like it a lot. Yeah, this knife sheath uses like 4 layers of leather, and they cut out the second one for a place for the knife to go. And that's kind of what I did here. I did 3 layers of leather, and I did one for the back. I did one behind just because this handle is so thick. I wanted something to kind of fill in that gap, and then I did one for the front. So it's not like a thick sheath, but it's... I'm really a lot happier with this than I was with this, so I would have been not happy to give this to him for his knife. I would have been kind of sad about that, so I'm much happier with this. So yeah, I just have to make this wearable on a belt, which I didn't even do on this because I added an extra rivet here for security, and it made it too small for a belt to go through, so. But yeah, I mentioned on the beginning of the stream that even though this isn't great for this knife, and you can't wear it on your belt and it doesn't look great, it does work pretty good for cast iron pot holder, like a little handle. Slip it over the handle so you don't burn yourself. So at least it wasn't a total waste and I get some use out of it. So I'm gonna take the knife out, and I'm still debating on skiving this down some more because, well, I think I can make it work. Make it work. Okay. Okay. So I folded this down, I think, also that, and then make sure a belt can go through there. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Belt's going through there easy. So I'm taking inspiration from this buck knife holder, and they have this same, they sewed it kind of D here in the bottom like this, but they sewed it on the inside and then they flipped it around and sewed it flat so that it kind of isn't just super flat up against the sheath. And I think I'm gonna do that. I don't know if I'm gonna sew the D down here or if I'll just do like maybe 2 straight lines or something, but yeah, sorry, I'm thinking right now about because this is kind of rounded at the bottom, and so I think that's why they did the D stitch down here to kind of mimic that border. And I don't know if I want to leave this square or if I want to maybe like point it out like how it is on the knife down here. You know what I mean? I could also definitely, this is a little wide. I think I might slim this down a little bit. And it's also not even cut straight, so I'm going to gonna definitely narrow this down. Just a wee bit. Well, I don't know why I did it this way. I can't cut left-handed. God almighty. I mean, I probably could cut left-handed if I wanted to, but I'm at the last stage of this project. I don't really feel like messing it up at the end. Okay, that's a little better, a little more even. I have to shave that part off. There we go. I'm trying to skive down the area where it bends a little bit, just so that it's, one, it bends easier and it's not so bulky. Okay, and then I will sew it right below the rivets, so you actually won't even see the rivets other than from the front side, which that's kind of nice. Yeah, I think I will round out the corners just because it looks weird being a perfect square. I put it away too soon. Got a nice little template here for cutting out ends of belts and stuff. Which none of these sizes really fit, but at least, hold on. I wonder if I got a package. At least it'll kind of make the round corners even, if anything. Well, that wasn't even. It's fine. I can round this out a little bit more now. You know. Somehow it didn't turn out even still, but it's a little better. Okay. Okay, I think that looks good. She's gonna be beautiful. Quadruple check that a belt fits. Yes, it will. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Trying to figure out how I want to stitch this. Okay, so I have to stitch the top part first because I have to fold it down and then do the bottom part. And so if I do the bottom first, I won't be able to access the inside of that one. Yeah, as much as I want to do the bottom part first because I want to make sure, because the rivets are down in there and I want to make sure that I don't do this too high so that when I stitch I'm going to get in the way of the rivets. But I just have to trust and believe. Okay, so I'm going to try to line up kind of the middle of that with the middle of this. Okay, and then I'll fold that over. Okay, I'm going to start stitching that. I think I'm just going to do 2 parallel rows of stitching. I think that'll be okay. I think trying to do this D-stitch down here, maybe I might do it on the bottom, but their stitching holes are very tight together, and I don't know that I can make that curve with what I have. So maybe I'll do like a triangle or something. Okay, I have to kind of figure this out. Oh, it would help if I put the stitching prongs in there. Kind of need those. Okay. I have learned to move my work off of this before I lower it because I've definitely lost control of it before and it like bounced off my work and made dents in it or holes in it and I'm like, all right. Anyway, let's see, I gotta line that up again. Okay, and then I have to kind of like hang this off the edge because it's thick. I might only need 4 or 5 holes to go across this thing. Oh, that didn't even punch through. Probably not low enough, and then I don't think these are tight enough. There we go. Okay. Let's try these again. I'm gonna cut this top piece now straight because I'm realizing I'm trying to line it up at the top and it's not even straight, so. That's better. I'm really bad at eyeballing things and then not cutting it straight, so trying to avoid that. Okay, I think that's good enough. Good enough, I say, as I like meticulously measure everything. I don't know, it's just really easy to misline up stitching and stuff. Wow, I blanked really hard on that. I do have a single stitching prong. I think I can fit one more in there just for good measure. Maybe I'll do... Yeah, instead of just doing straight across, my holes are pretty on top of each other. I might be able to do one of those kind of like cross, kind of baseball stitch, if you will. So maybe I'll try to do that, because it looks cool too, at least to me. These aren't lined up anymore. So I will take a needle, poke it through top and bottom so they're lined up again, and then I can do this. Hoppa. Hoppa. Okay. Time to stitch. There's my thread. I cleaned off most of my desk and I'm still losing items somehow. Alright, this shouldn't be as bad stitching as this was, because this was going through three layers of very thick leather, and this is going through 2 layers, and this one I've already skived down, so it shouldn't be too bad. Get my needles. These literally have the biggest eyes of any needle I've ever seen, and yet I still struggle sometimes. Okay. So let's start here. I guess I'll just start back here, and I guess now that's the question, is what side do I want the X's to be on? Well, the back side's going to be covered up anyway because it's going to be folded over, so I'll do the X's on the front. Look at that, using our noggin today. Sometimes. Not all the time, but today. Today we're using it. Oh yeah, this is a lot easier sewing than it was this morning on the front. I got my threads tangled up. Oh, come on. Alright. I hate when I thread through the middle of a string. And I always forget that I could just take the needle off and then pull the string out. And I try to like feed it through and it doesn't work. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about with the X's and the baseball stitch kind of thing once I'm done. I think it's coming together though. I'm excited. Alright, a couple more stitches. Ow. Ooh, stabbed myself pretty good. Talked about that this morning, on how often I stab myself, but hadn't happened yet till now, so I think we're doing pretty alright. Alright, I'll get up close with the camera and show you the stitching I just did. I don't know if this is actually how you do this stitch, or if I just kind of made it my own, or... I feel like this is how you gotta do it, because it looks nice on both sides. So, focus. We got the X stitches on the front, and then on the back it's just kind of vertical lines. So then I'm going to flip this down and then stitch on the bottom here. And then you should be able to put a belt through there. I just have to figure out how I want to stitch the bottom, because I did make it rounded. I could do the D-stitch. I would just have to do probably the single hole punch. Yeah, because all of my other... These are all straight, you know, they'll be like 4 in a row, straight stitch lines. I have 2... I can maybe do it with the 2. We'll see. Let me cut this off and burn it. So I snip the strings. And there we go. Cool. I'm just like so paranoid about a belt fitting through there, because I messed up so bad on my previous one that I just want to make sure a belt fits. So I think I'll stitch kind of just etching out that. Okay. Well, give it a shot. See what happens. I'll do 4 across the top. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my stitching fork, and I'm kind of just making little indents of where I should poke my holes, so that hopefully they're even distance from each other. Because this is kind of an odd shape, so I think I'm just going to use a single hole punch and I'm just gonna go for it because it's kind of oh yeah, I have to have to punch through 2 layers. Okay. Well, maybe I can try. Maybe I can try it. Okay. Here goes nothing. Make sure it's lined up as best that I can. Okay. See, this is why I wanted to do kind of the single hole punch, because it's such a tight spot that you can't really... Oh my god, I did this so tight. There we go. It's such a kind of tight curve that you can't really do too many holes at the same time. And the spacing's a little off, so... like, there's one more that I think I could fit in on the end here, but it's... If I do the actual proper spacing of it, it's gonna be right on the edge. I don't want it tearing through. So I'm just gonna kind of stick one hole where I think it should be. There we go. And then I'm just gonna keep with the single hole punch, to be honest. Right? Yeah. It's kind of a satisfying noise. I got misaligned here. If you want to get misaligned, I just stick a needle through both holes so I can match everything up. God, how am I doing this? What am I doing? Okay. I got the D punched out. I'm gonna sew it up, and then I think that should pretty much be it for this sheath, other than maybe doing some touch-up stuff at the end. I played thread chicken earlier, so I am definitely cutting longer than I need because I don't feel like doing that again. Yeah, I definitely played thread chicken this morning. I was sewing around this bottom part, and thought I had enough thread, which I technically did, but I didn't really take into account that I'm stitching through such thick leather and that it was going to take more thread, I guess, so I almost ran out. Trying to figure out which way I want to go. I'll go this way. This will probably be covered by the knife anyway, so I kind of want the back to look nicer than the front, which is funny to say, but the knife will be in its sheath more often than it's not, so. I'm pretty proud of this considering where I started from, and this is my second version, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. I feel like that's quite the improvement. And I think once I finish stitching this up, I'm probably gonna end stream, because I haven't even eaten yet, and it's almost 1:30. I've just been too zoned in on this. I did take a little break from stream, and hopefully I won't do that again. Hopefully I'll be a little more consistent like I was, but we were just very busy at work and other stuff, so I was not feeling up for it. But it is what it is. I'll come on here and do stuff. I don't have a consistent schedule yet, but when I'm on here, I'm on here. The only thing I don't like about these, this button, which I don't think it's anything to do with how tight I did it. I think there's just a loose ring in there that's part of the snap. I don't like how jangly the snap is, but I don't think it's jingly when you have the snap closed as far as I know. I guess I'll test it out, but yeah, it kind of bugs that it's so jingly when it's open. But that's just how the snaps are. I'm sure there's non-jingly snaps, but these happen to not be those. Alright, I just got like 2 more stitches to go, and then I'll show you all the finished product, and I'll hop off of here. Get something to eat. But you know, thanks for whoever, you know, has tuned in and watched me do any of this. I appreciate it. Oh, I need my pliers. It got hard all of a sudden to pull it through. Okay. I know I'm not super consistent on here quite yet, but I think we might get there one day. And I do have other projects I'm working on still. I know I was working on that, my big 410 shotgun case, and I do want to continue to work on that. I just haven't been super motivated, I think just because it is such a big project and it seems kind of daunting, but I do want to work on it still and finish it up. Oops, I kind of burned the leather a little bit there, but oopsie. It's gonna be behind the knife, so who cares? Ah. Okay, jingly snaps. Let's get the knife back in here. There is a thinner side of the handle and a thicker side, so hopefully they'll remember to use the thinner side, because that's the way I made it. There we go! I did it! Oh, I'm like actually like really proud of this, to be honest. This is my second attempt at a knife sheath at all, so I'm really happy with this. And put it on a belt here. Yeah, I might trim down this top piece a bit to line up more with the belt loop because it's kind of a lot of overhang, but I mean, going from this to this, I'm really happy. um, it's should be functional and it looks a lot nicer than the previous one, so I'm happy. And I got to use some of my scrap leather, which I'm really happy with. I didn't even like have to go cut out pieces of my roll that I used. Wow. I always kind of, I don't know. This is why I like this hobby too, is I end up kind of impressing myself, I guess, with what I can do. Like, this looks good. You know? Like, it's definitely not perfect by any means, but I'd wear that, you know? I feel pretty happy about giving that to someone and having them wear that on their. Like, yeah, like that would look sick, you know? Man, alright. Cool. I'm happy with it. I'm glad I got this done and I can give it to the knife owner and then they can actually wear it. So I guess I could do a little close up first. Oh my goodness. First, I have to show Jonesy because he just woke up from his nap. Mr. Jonesy in his sweater. Oh, big man. Good stretch, bud. Mr. Sweater Man. You're so warm. Where do you have all this hair coming from? Okay. I'll set you up here. And I'll do a close-up of my knife sheath, I guess, version 1 and version 2. Manually focusing. Yes. Here we go. Okay, so this was version 1. Pretty bad. It technically fits, but it's... Ooh. You know what I mean? And I was nervous about it getting stabbed through the bottom. It's a lot thinner. There's not much handle poking out of the top, so it would be kind of hard to take out. And I did too many rivets on the back, so a belt couldn't even fit through there. And then I took inspiration from this knife sheath that I think it's Czech made. Somebody from the Czech Republic made this, I believe. It's very pretty, but they did stacks of leather. There's 4 layers there, and then they put the knife in between the layers of leather. So I took inspiration from that and did this. I did 3 layers, and it is stuck between the first and second, or second and third, depending on which way you're counting from. I took inspiration from my buck knife belt loop, which I think turned out pretty good. And yeah, this fits in there pretty nice. And got a nice little snap there on the front. And again, yeah, I used scrap leather, so I'm happy about that. It is thick. I might sand down and kind of shine up some of the edges and stuff, but otherwise, like, this thing's done. And we'll go on to its owner. So, yeah, man, and this will continue to be a cast iron skillet handle holder instead of a knife sheath, so, yeah. I'm happy with that, so I'm gonna get off of here and go eat something. And thanks for everyone who tuned in and watched me make a this sheath that I'm actually really happy with. I had zero expectations for today, and maybe I should do that more often because it turned out pretty good. Alright, I'm gonna go clean up my desk and eat something. Bye!